Okay, so I'm not sure how much of this you can hear, but I figured it's storming out, and that's one of the things that I find really relaxing is hanging out and listening to a good summer storm, which is kind of weird. Every once in a while you might see a flash of lightning here. But it's kind of weird because as a kid, I wasn't really fond of storms. So I guess I might take a minute and share a story with you. So probably around 5th, 6th grade, if I had to guesstimate, because I'm pretty sure it was after I moved, so it was around middle school. I went to a festival with a friend. I was going to hang out and spend the night at her house, and we had a major storm come through. Now, I think there were some tornadoes associated with it, but where we were at, we didn't have a tornado, but we did have some straight line winds, and there was a tornado kind of sort of maybe in the vicinity. Like I said, middle school, can't remember. But for the longest time, I hated storms. It kind of terrified me. But when we were at that festival, they've got the big, huge, it was actually a poker tent. But for those of you who aren't familiar with that size tent, it's kind of like a revival tent. Huge, big, gigantic tent. And we were underneath of it when the straight line winds came through, because her family was in that area. They were helping work part of the festival, and so we had just went in to let them know that before the storm really hit, before the rain hit, we were going to go walk to her house because it was about a block away. About the time we were heading out from underneath of the tent to head to her house, the winds came through, picked the tent up, and flipped it upside down onto a tree that was in the field next to where the tent was at. Like I said, she was right next to me, and we both turned around about the same time when we were leaving, and we both had the poles that were holding the tent down flying at our face. So I dropped down probably a split second before she did, and the metal pole that was flying toward my face missed me, so I got very lucky. The wooden stake that was flying beside it, it grazed her. So she was okay, ended up being okay, but ever since then, for years, I used to hate storms. And I can't really pinpoint when they stopped bothering me and then when I started enjoying them. But I know by the time I got to college, I thought they were awesome. I don't know if maybe I was somewhere and was able to see a really good lightning storm. I know as I got older, watching some of the cloud walls come in for thunderstorms always used to be really awesome looking, and I still think they're awesome looking. You can get some really cool cloud formations, but I don't know. There's just something that for years for me has been very calming about storms. Even after I moved to Kentucky, especially after I moved to Kentucky, but even after I moved down here and met Jimmy and married him, there's been a handful of storms. It's common for a first responder to have to go out and help clean up after storms, whether that be trees down on the road or a few years back they had, it's been quite a few years back now, but they had a tornado come through a neighboring town, and they ended up going down and helped with rescue efforts after that, because it just like decimated part of that town. Tornado came through and absolutely flattened a whole stretch of buildings. But in the chaos and in the damage, there was also, some, you see the helpers, and that's always been one of my favorite things about chaos and catastrophe is people talk about how you can focus on the positive or you can focus on the negative, and that's hard for a lot of people when there's chaos and trouble. And I think it's good to remember, those of you who, grew up with Mr. Rogers and the Neighborhood of Make-Believe, and even some of those of you who, have kids and maybe watch Daniel Tiger. I know my 4-year-old likes Daniel Tiger, but anyway, a comment that Fred Rogers, I'm pretty sure he's the one who made it, and if not, I'm going to attribute it to him. He said it, in times of trouble, look for the helpers. So, with everything that's going on in the world right now, that's probably, people, that was a cool one, but people are losing hope, and it's easy done. I mean, we've got a lot going on in the world right now. There's a big divide, but times like now, I think it's even more important for us to try and find the helpers. Look for your medical professionals, or your first responders, even your nursing home nurses and cleaning staff, even at those locations. I mean, they're putting themselves, if you look at the COVID situation, they're putting themselves in harm's way every day to make sure that others are taken care of. Police, firefighters, same sort of thing. With all of this hate and whatnot with the protests, whether it be for businesses, trying to open up, not being able to open up, whether it be for the racial situation that's going on right now, and people looking at different things with police and reform. Everybody's focusing on the negative, and I understand that for change, sometimes you do have to look for the negative. But if you look for the negative, that's all you're ever going to find. So in a lot of cases, I think it's still important to remember and search for and look for the positive, regardless of what the situation is. So, I kind of got off on a tangent here, sitting out and enjoying the storm. I may see if I can get Jimmy or one of the guys maybe to share some of the stuff from Syersville. Maybe Jimmy and I may sit down and do a video and talk about that together, because I was back here when it happened. We had just came back. I think we were out of state at the time, and had came back, and he ended up having to leave to go help there, so may do that and give you guys both perspectives. But for right now, I think I'm going to get off here and enjoy the storm, because there's positive in that too. I got vegetables out on the back porch and they need watered, so they're getting the water right now. that's going to be my positive in this. Plus, like I said, it helps me relax. So, you guys take care. Stay safe. And talk to you later.